Welcome back, fellow Overwatch Esports enthusiasts. Zoe here, joined by Jake and Johnny, and we're about to set the stage for our second match in our EMEA region here in Week 4. It's going to be the EMEA juggernaut, Alcatio, who have been pretty much looked untouchable, except from their classic matchup against Twisted Minds, which always goes the distance. But other than that, no blood has been drawn. And now they are going up against Team Peps, which have been very exciting to watch. But first things first, let's talk about Alcatio. What have we seen from them thus far? Where do they find themselves currently when it pertains to the meta?
I mean, what haven't we seen from them? This team is just amorphous. You can't pin them down. They play whatever they need to. They're just always counter-comping you because the players are so insanely flexible. And I think that almost a lack of an identity is very hard to execute that. I want to, for most teams, I wouldn't recommend playing that way. But these are some of the best players in the world. They are that, maybe the best EMEA team maybe ever in Overwatch historically. I mean, seriously, the results have been fantastic for them. And so, you know, after defeating two of their toughest opponents, it feels like the rest of the matches this stage should just be easy dubs for them. And Team Peps have to know that, the underdogs they are in this series. Yeah, we'll have to see if that is going to be enough to you know, continue to snowball them there for the rest of the stage, continue to deliver those big wins. And I mean, there's maybe I'd say there's pressure, but honestly, not really. I think these guys kind of know they're top dogs in EMEA. They're looking ahead to playoffs. I mean, we heard from the scrim bucks there that VP also is really strong in the scrims, and maybe that 3-0 beatdown was an anomaly from Alcatio, but I like the idea of getting ahead of the curve, of showing some, you know, what Chase has been playing and having those highly mobile options. So there's just so much depth to this team. You can't pin them down. Team Peps, they've had a good stage, better than expected for sure. But this game, is this a winnable one, Zoe? I'm not feeling
Probably not. But yeah, I think something that Johnny mentioned prior to us coming back here is that Alcatio has been showing us different looks, not just in terms of compositions, but also in terms of players, right? So we have Chase in the mix, and they put Chase in the mix not just against like a team that is easy to beat. They did that against VP, and that bodes really, really well. If you're that comfortable to bring in bench players in difficult kind of battles, that says a lot about the comfort level of the team.
Yeah, I think they have to start to try different stuff as well, because we've been in a Symmetra meta for the longest time in like EMEA now. But I think they recognize, you know, they're a fantastic coaching staff as well, that the meta usually doesn't last forever in Overwatch. You have to play a lot of kinds of different compositions. And so even though Alcatio are on top right now, they've kind of like already assumed that they're going to finish on top of these standings here in stage 3. They're still preparing in the case the meta shifts, you know, come the world finals, because that is what everyone cares about, right? So I think Alcatio, they're doing the right thing here by starting to implement a lot of different playstyles in their game.
Yeah, they're making investments in the future, right? They have such a lead right now. You don't need to be all in on winning these games, and you're probably going to win them anyway. You're just that good.
Yeah, speaking of that good, Team Peps took down Gen.G last week in a very dominant showing. Honestly, it was a 3-0 beatdown. The audience had basically no faith in Peps. I think the votings were heavily skewed towards Gen.G. Yeah, honestly, we talked to Dip afterwards in the post-match interview, and he was straight up offended. No, but they had so many good things that they showed us. I think FD Gods, Lijiang has been definitely a big difference maker and a standout when watching them, alongside of course Dip, just having a really, really good performance in this meta, like on that tracer, right within the comfort zone.
Yeah, I think that's a crucial point you make there, so, and I'm really happy for FD God, because I think for the longest time FD God as a player kind of just assumed that that was, you know, a Lucio one trick, and not to be, you know, not to like criticize him too much, but I think that with the introduction of Lijiang, it has added some kind of like depth to the playstyles that he offers, because now they don't have to play the super reliant Lucio style. They can integrate the Lijiang and play that alongside Xerion's Kiruk, of course, and that does them well. That adds to their versatility. So I've really been liking the looks of this team. Bear with me here, I would kind of compare them a little bit to Nightmare over in North America. I think they play a similar style at times when like Soro flex over to the Freya. They're playing Kiriko Wuyang, and Dip is over to the Tracer. And I think this is a fantastic team. I've really been enjoying watching them so far. Willis, of course, is a big come up, and his hero pool really suits this kind of meta as well. Can play the Hazard, can play the Diva, can flex over to the Zarya if need be. There's a lot of great players on this team.
Dip, though, I think there's going to be a lot of weight on his shoulders in this game in particular, right? Checkmate has been not only so sick on the flexibility, but his Tracer has been, I think, the best in EMEA, maybe like on par with Kevster, which is a crazy statement for a player as flexible as Checkmate is. And I think Dip is going to really be feeling that heat in this series, because it's not just Checkmate, it's also I feel like the backline, right? As Tracer, you want to hunt down those supports, you want to take those fights, but Kelix and Landon, man, they're eager to take those one-on-ones, right? They're eager to battle you back on those cheeky flankers, and we'll see what Dip can do there, trying to assault this backline that has so far just been untouchable pretty much by EMEA.
All the friends.
I mean, look. I'm gonna be real with you.
Unsurprising.
I'm gonna be real with you. I'll still take Alcatio at these odds. I'll still take Alcatio.
Honestly, I'm just excited for this one. Alcatio will take them serious just based on the performance we've seen so far from Team Peps, and I know that they are coming well prepared. We talked to Peps last week. They said they know this is not theirs to win, but they're excited to try things out in this match. So let's see what they have in store for us in our second match in the EMEA region. Jake, Johnny, please take it away.
Thank you. So we'll get right into this one, and is it a Lijiang Tower? I'm feeling. Actually, wait, maybe Alcatio will pick something else. They're like the one. They might give us something spicy. I hope they put Chase in, play some Ilios. Just mix it up, guys. Come on, show for the people,
I think
for the
Ilios
entertainment.
is a good pick here. Please.
I actually agree. But then again, in fairness, I think for Peps, they might be a team that wants to play dive, and so for Qadsiah, it's like you can play anything. You probably do want to take Lijiang.
Lijiang Tower.
Nah, like I think this is actually correct. As much as it's a little like we would love to see some more map variety. I think in this matchup for Qadsiah, a team that is that many-headed Hydra that plays whatever they want to always put their opponent in the toughest, most difficult spot, it's the Rush Mirror. I think that's where Peps are going to really be hurting in this particular match. Not that Qadsiah need that, but they never take their foot off the gas. That's actually something I like about this team. They're never giving their opponent any quarter, any opportunity. And the opening ban on Pharah is going to make it further more difficult to punish these sim strats.
Yeah, exactly. I think we expected a lot of these poke heroes to come through here from Peps to try and deal with these symmetric compositions, right? So the Pharah ban is definitely on the point here for Qadsiah. I think around like control center, you almost now take for granted, and it's really just a question of like how well can Peps do come Garden and Night Market. And we're gonna kick things off here on Night Market. The Diva ban, Siad has been fantastic so far on that hero as well, so maybe now you're looking towards more of a ground tank, whether it's going to be the Hazard or the Zarya coming out there. So both teams trying to give themselves the best chance to win here.
Yeah, the Sim Diva combo really is terrifying to play against, right? Putting Diva into the backline when she still has boosters online and the rest of the team is like right with her. It's just such an explosive engage. Qadsiah has been a team that's super comfortable exploiting the Sim. And honestly, at Lijiang Tower, I mean, in Control Center, ironically, he's like the worst Sim out. I think on Night Market and Garden, the Sim just lets you cheat in this ridiculous way of like you don't have to fight the most difficult chokes in the game. You just pass them. You're just on to the point. You looks like you're falling back, and now you're immediately just aggroing into the backline. So Qadsiah, they're going to put on a masterclass hero, see if Team Peps have what it takes to challenge that. Zoro on the Freya maybe could put some challenge to Checkmate, but he's also going to have to be dueling Labda at the same time, and that won't be easy. See if these teams if Dip keeps the Sam. I wouldn't hate to see it, but the mirror match is a tough one.
Yeah, I feel like if you're Team Peps here, you're of course going to play this Kiriko Wuyang style that we talked about, but you're kind of hoping that this matchup comes down more to individual skill between the damage players. But even so, you're up against Labda and Checkmate. So if you don't think you can compete when it comes to the teamwork, then you still have an uphill battle because the players are so good on Alcatio.
Ziri and Willis both incredibly low right now, and the pressure continues to pour on. Dip, though, finds a kill on the Landon, so hold on. Opening fight, still in contest. The trade is good, though. And Qadsiah don't want to give up this point. You see them, Ziad stepping over to the left. Empty God does find checkmate. And so this first point is actually looking like a winning fight for Team Peps. They need to strike hard and fast, so they cannot let Qadsiah regroup. This has been a team that is so hard to finish off in some of these clutch engagements. Even down numbers, they don't fully back off, and Team Peps a little bit slow to get the recap. Now Ziad's full HP, and yeah, this moment of weakness, a lack of confidence is punished. They're right back in this fight, and I think the positioning is a little bit scary. Labda starting to hone in here on the back line. He already has a bullet, by the way. Oh, and it's a big one.
Oh my god, they had no sidelines, Team Peps there whatsoever. They didn't get the point cap in time. And suddenly, Alcatio, they just swarmed the point. They recognize that Team Peps, you know, they're a bit hesitant. They're playing a bit too careful. Qadsiah just pounds. Labda coming around there on the flank angle as well. Hits a big bola shot. And if you're Team Peps, like you said, Jake, you need to close out those fights as soon as you get the tiniest advantage.
You can't ever show fear against this Qadsiah team, right? You slow down for a second, they're going to back off, take the re-heal, and re-engage. And this time, it's like they had just dominated that first fight, right? When it comes to percentage, when it comes to the status of the game. Labda jumping up over the top, putting some pressure on Willis. Qadsiah running up this clock. Bola shot goes in for Zoro. It does find Kelix, though. It's a huge connection to the back line. Labda finds the trade, though, with only one support. A lot of pressure on Landon right now to keep Ziad up, and just can't quite stand that test. Checkmate. Do they have the touch to kind of keep this point going? I think Qadsiah may have to just back off and take the reset. So this time, trades are good for Team Peps. The Bola opener from Zoro, but Dim overplays his hand and dives into Landon and just takes his head off. And let's see the retake from Qadsiah. Yeah, they're going to not make that same mistake, getting very aggressive very quickly to try and get this push in. Oh, and Empty God steps on the pulse. That's a tough one. Checkmate still healthy back here, distracting the Kiriko, denying some of the resources to that front line. Ziad gets the kill in that moment. I think Dip there is standing on the point, stalling it out for a few moments. Tracer does come out, but man, Labda so nice here on this Freya.
It's really competitive though. Peps so far in this round, they've kind of done what we talked about. We're not really seeing pure team fights. We're seeing them get picks early on, a little bit back and forth. They've just struggled to finish things off there. The pick, of course, is brutal. Big ultimate fight coming up here, Jake.
Oh, Ziad bounced in. Yeah, got overextended there. Nice punish by Willis. Pushes him deeper than he intended to go. And without the tank, Qadsiah, they're on the full retreat, trying to stay alive, trying to just pump a bit of heals here. Checkmate, gonna step onto the point. Stall as he can. I like this attempt to punish the backline. Recall just now gets forced out. Great burst from Dip, though. The one clip onto Kelix wasn't ready for that one. Rush on a point. But Team Peps have the flip, and Qadsiah can't even use their own rush. They've been fully back off of it.
Yeah, they don't really have the survivability of the Tidal Blast either, so forced to back out in this one. And it's going to be Team Peps racking up even more percentage points here. I gotta say, Alcatio big favorites in this one, but Team Peps, they've been looking pretty competitive so far. Now, opportunity to engage early here if you'd like. Tidal Blast goes out.
Checkmate already found Zoro. Tidal Blast connection is good, though. Onto Labda. That knockdown does get the kill, but Willis trapped. Does get cleansed. Is he going to be able to get out of this one? Gets a lot of heals. Dip finds a kill onto Checkmate. I talked about the challenge in taking this 1v1, but Dip's rising to that occasion. Qadsiah still have a few ultimates. This retake does look strong for them, and they are still, I think, a little bit favored in this round. But maybe a big pulse bomb from Dip could change that narrative.
These are some fantastic picks coming through from Peps here. Dip finds another pick onto Kelix here. And you're just seeing in a moment like that, Will is even recognizing, of course, that, you know, Ziad is quite committed, pushes the other side of Alcacia's roster, and they're just doing a great job working the neutral here. Zoro has a Polar shot. Could be really harmful here as Alcatio try to push out one of these narrow corridors.
Yeah, one more big test to pass, and Dip, unscouted in the backline, puts a bit of damage down, forces that cleanse out already. Now putting some counter pressure in. Labda, oh, the Bola shot is enough from Zoro to get that trade. Dip finds Kelix as well. Now Qadsiah fighting with only 3 players, losing Landon. That could be the round. Qadsiah, somehow, some way, bullied out of this one. Checkmate, still has full cooldowns, still has a pulse bomb, but it's so difficult. I mean, who are you going to target with this? Can Ziad get one more touch? That wall does block it, and even Kelix with a fast rollout can't get there. And Team Peps, all right, Dip coming in big.
1-0.
This is looking really impressive from Peps. They were competitive throughout that entire round. Even though Alcatio gained some percentage, I think every single fight, Team Peps, they racked up a couple of picks. These fights broke down, you know, 4 versus 3, 3 versus 2 kind of scenarios. And Team Peps are looking really good. Dip 11-3 so far, and you're definitely feeling the impact of that.
And Dip he's been killing off Checkmate on the Tracer duels. He's been punishing Kelix time after time there on the Lijiang. I mean, wow, like that is a statement map win, and they're gonna make this heavy swap here over to a Zarya style with the Sim as well. Qadsiah though, standing tall with the Bastion. I think they're more ready for this maybe than their opponents. Bastion's so strong in this matchup. Zoro and Dip have to be getting kills on overtime here to be able to protect the front line.
Yeah, really good disengage here though from Peps, and you can see the rest of the team. You see these outlines. They're trying to take space around Alcatio. They recognize that Alcatio. They're going to play 5-man here for the most part. So it really becomes a question of how can you kind of like work around the flanks here for Alcatio. Dip swaps over to the Symmetra though. So this is quite confident from Peps here, trying to almost match Alcatio in this composition.
It's so scary against Bastion though. It's so hard for Willis to play this one. And now I think Qadsiah wise to the threat of the kite. Their fake TP here, just sort of slowing the game down. I mean, and Team Peps, like, they're alive, but they're not stepping up to the point. They're not challenging. Zoro had a chance there, but no joy on the rail shot. And now Qadsiah pushing forward, just the regular speed amp bubble onto this Bastion, pushing forward. The TP out is good for Team Peps. It keeps them alive for the moment and surviving the form. You need to strike back right now, Team Peps. This is your moment of opportunity. A few seconds there on that Bastion form.
But Landon has this Kitsune Rush, and he's going to drop it. Willis goes down.
Yeah, and it's just, that's just the odd. Lab, even without the form, right? Pumping big damage. You're trying to shut down this Bastion. He's just ignoring you, getting absolutely pumped full of heals by Qadsiah. And the Lucio mobility really being exploited here. Team Peps, they kite the first engage, and then from there on out, Qadsiah so much more patient with pulling the trigger. And Team Peps trying to dance with death, and Qadsiah just aren't fighting until, well, when they do, they take your head off.
Yeah, and Sierra's coming up with this Graviton Surge as well, and playing this Lucio, you can now kind of like dictate, like, where do we want to drop this grab? For Team Peps, it's going to be really difficult to work your way around this, and you don't really have a defensive support ultimate as well to protect from all the damage coming in.
Yeah, oh, it's a huge one. Is there a Bastion for this Lab? Popping up the TP out is good, though. Hold on, escapes everyone. Zion's super low, needs the cleanse. Beautiful counter TP out of the grab there. Saves him from certain death. Here's the beat, though. Team Peps, another challenge. Will they be able to survive it? Checkmate finds Dip. A healthy Sojourn here. Grab is good. The TP out though once again from Qadsiah, and they turn around the engagement, TPing out of the grab and into the enemy spawn. Crushing Team Peps. Grab just not really a good alternate to team in this matchup.
But Willis is going to make the swap over to the Hazard. This Hazard
is so desperate.
Team Peps. This is Alcatio. They're just playing their best game right now. I mean,
yeah. You don't want these hands. You don't want the sim mirror against Alcatio, man. Dip doesn't even have the ult yet. Dip is on a 0 ult round. I think he was on Trace in that first fight. Oh, and that sim wall is so painful. You just cannot get resources to the point. Zirian finds checkmate though, and that's a critical kill. But Ziad still high energy, full HP. Nobody can stand up to this Zarya, and that's going to be a 100-0 clapback round from Qadsiah.
Okay, so this is kind of what we talked about though, Jake. Control center overwhelmingly on Qadsiah's favor. The fact that Team Peps won Night Market, it gives them an in. It gives them a chance.
I also think, yeah, this is another very strong sim map, and I would be surprised if Qadsiah swap off. You know, honestly, this map in particular, typically, right, these bridges, we just don't see people cross the bridges at the highest level on retake. It's just too scary, right? There's boop offs, there's just a terrible choke point. It's one of the hardest positions in the game. You always retake from the other side of the map, which is the worst side of the map in general to actually fight on. But with Symmetra, you break that rule. You just TP across the gap, and there's not much any team can do about that. And yeah, so for Qadsiah, this is the all-in sim comp. You can't really sim mirror into this unless you're going to take the full mirror. And Team Peps going to try and play the mobility, what worked for them previously. But look at Qadsiah. See, they're going to take this wide angle here, taking the house with the Mega Rogue. And that gives them great cover from which to fight. Zoro, it's going to be hard for him to get much damage done.
Willis is expecting a lot of support here as well, playing very close up to this house here. And we can kind of see Alcatio, they're going to TP again towards the point here, trying to put pressure onto Willis from many different angles here, but it's a good kite from Peps, and Zoro and Dip should be able to work these flanks now and try to put some pressure on Alcatio.
Ziad got big energy here. Team Peps still healthy though. Maybe there's an opportunity to attack with some of these bubble cooldowns are gone, but Qadsiah grabs the flip. I mean, you got to be so scared of this Bastion. And even that passive play is not enough to keep FD God alive. Willis punishes, finds checkmate, but not sure that trade is good, right? Qadsiah, I think they're pretty happy to fight strong. As long as double support and Zarya are online, man, this comp can run through almost anything.
Yeah, it gets really tricky here for Peps now, because getting set up in the first place to take one of these players out on Alcatio is going to be so difficult. One recall forced on Dip, and really lack the damage, especially with these Zarya bubbles from Ziad, of course, to kind of prevent some of the damage from Zoro as well. You're asking a lot from your teammates now if you're Team Peps here. Xeron's coming up on the Kitsune Rush, but so is Alcatio.
Ziad is going to cook in a very big way in this fight. You can see that bridge is just not an option for Team Peps, right? No chance you could be able to walk into this. And Ziad just bullying. Willis trying to get a point charge, trying to sow some discontent here in the fight. But that, you know, Bastion Bomb connection there onto Zirian. Now going to rip that form, charging forward into spawn. They do get the heals to keep Willis alive, but I don't think you're going to be able to punish this form, CD. You know, you're down a Kiriko for the moment. And even Zoro, it's like, how do you break this? There's no one else really providing that spam damage. It's going to need to be an overwhelming ultimate bank, which Team Peps do have some powerful tools. Problem is Qadsiah coming up on 5 of their own.
Yeah, Kitsune Rush dropped here. Both teams Tidal Blast as well. This has to be the fight for Team
Nice
Peps.
cleanse. Yeah, cleanse prevents Labda from being knocked down. However, the damage is good. It does find Ziad. Beat comes down from Kelix, though. They need to find some counter kills. Team Peps still have double support and tank online because he landed looking to get aggressive, but it's actually Dip who ends up falling down. Cleanse came back off the CD. Looks like that down forward didn't connect onto anything, and they're keeping Labda alive here with some extra support here. And Ziad still healthy. Landing gets the cleanup onto Willis, and the Simwall is just making this such a problem to get resources into the front line. And it's once again, Johnny, it's 100-0 and a missed grab, but it's not going to matter, right? Dip's coming for the touch. No blinks left. Maybe Ball can get a touch here, but I mean, you're just throwing good money after bad. And Qadsiah, it's a big opening round for Peps, right? They feeling pretty good about that. And then Qadsiah, man, you angered the beast. You poked the bear there. Maps 2 and 3 just gone in a flash.
Yeah, really difficult for Peps there to gain any kind of momentum onto Garden. I think in the very first fight, they actually had a really good setup, and I think they made some really good calls. You know, Willis taking a lot of space, but even so, like the Symmetra from Checkmate, it just like alters the playing field for Alcatio, and you TP on the point, and suddenly like the battlefield is flipped on its head, and Alcatio, they find the picks required with the damage from Labda's Bastion. So Alcatio doing what they do best. Still though, you know, coming into this one, I didn't really expect Peps to get around in the first place, and so I thought them looking competitive on a night market is a good sign in general. Winning a series is a lot to ask for, but considering that this is not one of the top 3 teams in the region, right, I think Peps is a really good showing from them.
True. I mean, I think for them to be able to win on like basically a heads-up deathmatch round, I think there was a couple of errors from Qadsiah, but you know, not many teams can punish those errors, right? And I think Dip on this, you know, raw Tracer battle really had high impact. This is the problem though with challenging Qadsiah. You might be able to find, you know, some edge, some advantage somewhere, but they are so incredibly good. I'd say they're the best team in the world right now at the counter pick and punish, man. Like once they come out on this Bastion, Team Peps just weren't ready for it. They weren't able to take that challenge whatsoever. They weren't able to keep it competitive, and they had no answers, right? And Qadsiah, that's the thing. You beat them on one thing, they're just going to pose you with another challenge and another challenge and another challenge. In order to match up against this team, you have to be able to keep pace with all those swaps. And on that map, at least, it wasn't the case for Team Peps.
Yeah, it's a really difficult kind of choice that lies ahead of you here as well now. Like, where do you kind of go for map 2? We saw against Twisted Minds, Team Peps, they picked Eichenwalde for their first map pick choice and then went to Atlas there as well. Now, they did ban the Symmetra against Twisted Minds, and so I'm expecting them, maybe if they want to replicate their selection here against Alcatio, maybe they'll go towards Eichenwalde, ban the Symmetra. Didn't work out for them then, but that was what they felt most comfortable with against a team similar to Alcatio here. That was Twisted Minds.
Yeah, you know, if you're watching, guys, if you're enjoying the competition here, you're interested in maybe potentially getting in on some Overwatch 2 competitive action yourself, you can also join in through FACEIT, right? And that allows anybody to officially compete in the official league here. You're going to play in FACEIT, you climb your way to the top, you get a chance to play in that promotion slot to come in here and dance with the big dogs. Maybe you gotta take on somebody like Alcatio, but that's a long way into the future. You climb through those ranks, get those chances, and it's all a connected ecosystem, right? So anybody playing in FACEIT could have their chance to play on the big stage now. And honestly, Johnny, I think that's really added a lot of new life into the Overwatch ecosystem. There's been so many strong players, new players really we hadn't seen before, that have risen and are now standing toe-to-toe with the best, right? For somebody like Dip to come in here and be taking it to checkmate at times, right? In the Tracer mirror, you know, I don't know if we would have had that in previous iterations of Overwatch Esports.
Dildogs getting their chance against teams like Liquid and SSG. Never ever expected that. But if you actually take a look at some of the rosters competing in FACEIT League Season 6 even, you know, they're all a lot of players kind of like knocking on that door and vying for their spot as well to qualify for OWCS. Obviously, we have the FACEIT League Season 6 playoffs going on these next couple of weeks, actually. And so you should check out that with your favorite co-streamer. So a lot of action happening with FACEIT. Go check that out. Go compete.
And I will say, by the way, you don't have to play Alcatio. This organized by skill, right? So there's different divisions you could play where, you know, your team fits in, where it's actually competitive for you. You don't have to want to go pro. I think it's just, you know, one of the most fun ways to play Overwatch is with a team, really, you know, going for those full team strats. You know, and I just love to see it here. Obviously played at the highest level in the OWCS, but even down through FACEIT, man, just to get on with the squad and run some plays is a lot of fun.
Sometimes it's fun just to like lose against a really good team, and you're like, oh, wow, we're
like, that's how they do it.
That far behind. We're that far behind. We have a lot to learn, and you know, like Matt always says, losing is learning. So even though, you know, you get to compete in FACEIT League, it's not going to be all wins. That's not how competitive games work. But you get the opportunity to play against, you know, with a like-minded team that want to compete together against other teams, and you learn a lot from that. You grow a lot from that. So that's going to feed into your ranked games. So if your goal is to push high on the leaderboard in ranked, then FACEIT is going to help with that too.
Kings Row, Johnny. Kings Row. I kind of like some of the things we've seen. I think it was VP was playing this with like they were playing like a Pharah and Zarya type comp, you know, around that Lijiang and Kiriko, and I thought that looked pretty sick on Kings. I kind of wonder if that might influence the meta a little bit. I also think some of these sim comps could be effective here if that's where Checkmate wants to go, but this guy's very, very hard to predict. I am surprised to see this pick, though, out of Peps, because so far they've looked the best, right, in that pure, you know, like heavy tracer, heavy deathmatch mirror where dip on the tracer. But Kings Row is not a great tracer map in my opinion. I think it's one of the worst in the pool, honestly, for tracer. So see what dip's got in the tank, but I kind of don't love the idea of going into the flexibility battle against Checkmate, and I think Kings Row is almost tempting that.
Yeah, they Peps played against Gen.G on Kings Row last week. I believe you casted that match even. And they won that match. They looked really good against Gen.G in that series. So maybe feeding off some of that confidence, the Symmetra ban is going to come out here. Very much expected from Peps here. Sorry, ban from Alcatio as well. I like, though, you go to Kings Row, you get the Symmetra out of the way. I think I like this from Peps. I think you're going to a map where the Symmetra could be really powerful, and you get that out of the way. It at least gives you a bit of an into this series that later on in the series, Alcatio cannot just comfort pick maps like this, right? Because they know they're going to win on them.
Yeah, and I think without the Zarya as well, Zarya has looked super strong on Kings Row and has led to some of these like certain spots in the map looking really, really hard to break, where the defense just holds an angle and you just can't clear the Zarya. She's just too strong on the defense, except by like massive over ultimate dumps. And for Qadsiah, I think taking away the Zarya makes a lot of sense, because you say, all right, you're going to take away our sim, our like team fight dominator. We are going to throw a little bit of chaos into this match and destabilize some of these frontline trades by taking off the Zarya off the field. I am really interested. I don't know really what is going to end up being the meta here. Could be Hazard, as both teams have played. Could see some Diva. Mobility can definitely be really strong, especially on first and third here of Kings Row.
Yeah, and Peps kicking off the attack here as well. They will definitely have to use some of those movement abilities, of course, to try to get an edge on Alcatio. I would honestly live for a matchup like this. If we get to see some mirror matchups like this, I think this could be a really fun matchup here. But again, you need great performances from the likes of Dip and Zoro. Dip popped off on Lijiang Tower. Needs to be another one of those players who really like opens the door here for Peps on their attack.
Yeah, I think the DPS battle is so influential in this matchup, but also I think Ziad has maybe more chance to have some influence on the Diva, right? Can break those trades open, deny the true 1v1s, and, you know, allow that overwhelming team fight strength that Qadsiah are known by to really pay dividends. And see Checkmate ready to mark this flank, ready to take that challenge, has the passive heal from Lijiang, so it's going to be pretty enabled in holding this position. It's a great clear from Dip. But Checkmate's pretty healthy, and they're taking a lot of resources to clear a Tracer out. Although Checkmate, he's not getting the help he needs. Where's the follow-up there? Where's Qadsiah? I think tried to get a play somewhere else on the map, but couldn't get anything done in that moment. And all right, Peps, they're starting to pick apart this defense, playing towards his high mobility style with the confidence that Dip can take these 1v1s. Kelix, though, refighting this, taking 2 down. He's still alive, still healthy a little bit. Ziad eventually is going to be demeched, but the chaos of some of these late deaths is meaning that you don't even have any progress on the point. Willis is low. Like, spawn advantage is good for Peps. I think they will be able to get back into this and take some point position, since Ziad is just now respawning, but there was absolutely more to say on this first point defense for Alcatio.
Yeah, it was a really good collapse from them, though. When they started losing team members, they got the trades necessary to give them an opportunity to retake here. Not coming up on any ultimates yet, but a lot of time to spare. You can see Alcatio, they're trying to set up. They're not panicked just yet. Ziad walking up here. A lot of damage onto Willis, actually. Syrian as well, dropping low. Qadsiah, they got a little bit of momentum here in this recommit.
And Ziad just starting to box here in the back line. Takes a lot of pressure, has to fall back off the play. Landon looking to get cheeky. Gets aggro, but has to TP back out of this. Pressure is good right now. Qadsiah is starting to get the edge in this poke trade. Willis is super low. He's going to have to pop self-destruct just to get back in the suit. Checkmate throws a pulse bomb a little wild here, but Willis sidesteps that before resuiting. So Team Peps still fighting, still in this one. But Landon, that's a huge kill on Dip. Takes a lot of pressure off the back line. Lab that follows up with a second. And that should be sending Team Peps back to the respawn, back to the drawing board. Zirian would love to find one before he TP's out, but can't do that. And Checkmate still hunts him down after the TP. Checkmate, angered here, continues to send Willis all the way back into the spawn. He can't even hold his HP damage to feed over to Zirian. And Qadsiah, yeah, they've given up a tick, but ultimate-wise, they're in an amazing position.
No, that's really brutal for Team Peps here, because that's 2 minutes off the timer. And they did really well in the neutral to gain space, to get picks in the first place, and not being rewarded for that is it goes down again. This is just going to be another reset. Willis is going to die late here. You just can't compete if you're Peps here. So the fact that you weren't able to cap the point there, you know, with 2 minutes running, it's going to put them now in a position where they have to win the ultimate trades. And doing that against Alcatio is arguably even more difficult.
And Willis gets stalled, like continuing to run the clock down. It's going to be a last fight scenario for Team Peps. Ultimate Bank relatively even. Willis is going to step off the D-Run and Hazard, but Ziad has continued to take more ground, right? They're forward holding in the spawn, and oh no, if you don't realize Ziad's here, he could just get a quick burst down on somebody walking forward. They do find him and clear him, but man, they're just now through the choke, and Checkmate again just collapsed down Dip. And the Tracer Mirror could not have clapped back harder. Now Qadsiah smell blood in the water. They're going to charge forward, try to just end this round here and now with the full hold on first point. Kelix gets a connection on the Zirian, cleans that one up, and back into the spawn with you, Team Peps. Qadsiah 5 ultimates, continuing to hold this door and just give no ground.
Team Peps haven't even had a chance to fight for the last 90 seconds. It's been brutal. I think Dip has died 3 times now to Checkmate, who has just absolutely come alive here again. And you can see the support coming in there to help out Dip. Peps is recognizing that this is such a potent threat here. Landon going to drop the Kitsune Rush. Here comes the big ultimate trade.
Yeah, powerful rush is good. Tidal Blast gets no connection. Willis has to fall back to his own rush. Labda a little bit in a risky angle here. Peaks very, very wide, but it's Ziad who strikes. Zirian takes down Checkmate. That's going to protect his own backline, so Team Peps is a 4-on-4 for them. But Kelix still has some powerful ultimates if he wants to drop it here. Tidal Blast onto Ziad. They're going to go aggro with it rather than using it defensively. Labda gets 2. Kelix, the Tidal Blast knocks down Zirian, cleans him up. And it's going to be the full hold on first point. Just 50% to show for it. Team Peps, I mean, they came into this round pretty confident, pretty hot. And they just couldn't close it out, man. Qadsiah are so good at bending back and giving only as much ground as they need to before just swiping back at you and crushing you out of this map.
I feel devastated for Peps. I really do. I mean, we know that it's an uphill battle. We know that Alcatio are, according to the fans, 97% favorites going into this one. But I genuinely think that Peps, they cleared out the angles in that very first fight really well, and they got the picks necessary. Dip got the support you saw from Xerion, and they worked those angles beautifully. And not being able to cap the point of that very first neutral fight just set them back for the entire round. And from on there, it was just Checkmate and Alcatio dominance. So that is what happens if you can't close things out against Alcatio. They're just going to rally and, you know, punch back at you. So really tough look there for Peps on the attack.
Yeah, there were good moments, like you said, right? But I think Qadsiah starting to warm up, right? Starting to, okay, put some respect on the opponent, focus up. And when they do, they look unbreakable. And it's Team Peps who are just sent staggering with just haymaker after haymaker, right? Qadsiah, like you said, they're not even letting them regroup. They're not even letting them get into a fight. They're just one pick, sweep you out of the spawn, sweep you. The only place you're safe is inside your own freaking spawn on this map.
5, 4.
Absolutely brutal. And now you got a full ult, Jake. I wish you good luck, Peps.
They go Lucio here. In theory, I actually hate this Lucio pick. I feel like it's so all in to go Lucio here. Landon also going to step over to the BAP here, which I actually think is sick, right? The poke pressure from Qadsiah is going to be monstrous. You have to force some super aggro dives here, which good luck actually getting a clean trade out of that. Landon steps back here, stays alive. Oh, the pressure is good, though. Dip finds a kill. Qadsiah just need to get any kind of trade out of this, but they don't get it, actually. So, okay, Dip finds both backliners. No trades come in, and oh, although they do get Willis out of the suit. And honestly,
that's
Johnny,
massive.
I think that's enough.
Yeah.
Landing over to the
That's
carry
huge.
as well. Good. How do you take this fight? Willis has to somehow get back into the suit. It feels like Dip needs to put on another heroic moment here. Ziad already shuts down the enemy Diva. Damage is good onto Dip. He's not really going to be able to hold this position for much longer. Kelly's cleans Zoro, and yeah, Dip's alive, but I mean, this map's done and dusted. You can stall it out, but no hope here.
Yeah, I feel like it was a decent pick there from Alcatio as well, because you know, Peps, they're playing with this Lucio. It kind of like forces them to commit, right? Like they have to be aggressive at all times and they have to go for plays. But at the end of the day, 4 minutes on the timer, like you're going to lose members. And we saw Willis lost the mech there. You know, Dip got a couple of picks, but was in dangerous territory. Over the course of those 4 minutes, Alcatio are going to find the picks required to have an advantageous fight onto the point there. So really difficult spot for Peps. Alcatio, they close out the King's Row very clean after a nice full hold from them. And, well, down 0-2 in the series, Jake, with no real hope. Where do you go from here?
Yeah, there's not much you can say about that one, right? That's your map pick, that's your counter punch, and it's doing nothing, man. This is David versus Goliath, but David forgot his sling, man. It's not looking strong. I mean, Dip's having some of these moments and winning some of these duels, but Checkmate is also counter punching just as hard. And in the end, it's just you can't put all that pressure on somebody on Dip. Like, what are you gonna do? A solo carry against Qadsiah? Good luck, man. Good luck. You're gonna need it. And I think also Qadsiah, they understand their win cons so well, right? They know in like that overtime that like, look, we don't have to win this first fight. We just get one kill. We just get the Diva mech and we already won. You know, I mean, they've locked in the win con. Let's see the one clip. Beeman, Checkmate. I like that patience.
It's disgusting. And that happened like 3 times over the course of like 2 minutes. It was disgusting. I like the point that you had going into this series, Jake, where even though Alcatio, they're playing like, you know, quite a few different stuff. We're seeing, you know, Kelix over to the Wu Yang here as well. That they're just like on the same page. And we've seen a few teams in Overwatch Esports history that just like, they're so good at just playing Overwatch. It sounds funny when I say that like regardless of the composition, they understand how the composition is supposed to flow, what the you know, what the advantage is, what the disadvantage is, and their positioning is perfect. So Alcatio, they're just in the state of flow the way they're playing right now. The understanding of, you know, their synergies with each other, the teamwork is definitely there, and everyone is just playing their absolute A game right now. And you know, they got second at EWC. They want to win the World Finals. They think they have a really good chance after some of the, you know, pretty close performances the EMEA had against Korea.
Yeah, I think they're definitely hopeful that this Symmetra can continue to be a key factor, right? I think that's one of the places where Qadsiah have the biggest edge as far as like, you know, the chance to beat the world and the chance to maybe lift a trophy, right? And to really be that #1 team, which I don't know if we've ever seen out of the EMEA, right? An actual EMEA Overwatch team being the world champion. I don't know that it's ever happened, and I think this is maybe the biggest hope for the region ever. And so I think, you know, for them to continue to build on that, continue to have success is key. I also think the region is kind of following in their footsteps, right? Like these moments for Peps, like you said, it's not enough where, you know, that is a super hard beatdown from Qadsiah, but to have moments, right? To have some moments where, okay, we're like you said, we're cleaning up the flanks well, we're opening up the fight strong, we're putting Qadsiah on the back foot. Yeah, there's more hurdles to cross after that, but the fact that you're getting over the first couple is, I think, a sign of progress for a team like Peps, and maybe the best they could have hoped for, frankly, in this matchup with how favored you got to consider Qadsiah to be.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting point you bring up there, that because there's been so much Symmetra play in the region, it kind of forces teams to either learn how to play Symmetra, or if you really don't want to play Symmetra, like how to play against it, right? And that could be something that gives EMEA as a region as a whole like a leg up against the competition come these World Finals. We saw it recently in EWC here as well. But as a region, you kind of like pick up what the best team is doing, and I think we're seeing that in, you know, North America as well. There's a lot of wrecking ball, a lot of dive being played. It suits some of their hero pools, right? But if there's not a dive meta, then that region kind of suffers, right? This has been the time for EMEA these past few months, I feel like, and with some big patches coming our way, like who knows, going out, you know, approaching the World Finals, what the meta will be and what region will have the biggest edge.
And this Gibraltar pick, I think, is pretty exciting, actually, from Peps. I think for Peps, it gives them the chance to put Dip back in the driver's seat on Tracer. Although, honestly, on this map, Tracer not really the carry. I think Tracer's more like push the payload kind of a deal a lot of times on this map. However, I think Qadsiah is going to play Sim here. I don't think they're going to be playing a dive comp. I think Qadsiah has shown, and other teams have played it as well, that like this map can be considered a rush map if you, maybe any map is a rush map if you're good enough at Symmetra, right? Any map, the verticality that would have stifled, these comps previously in this era of Overwatch isn't a problem for these top level teams getting the most value out of these teleporters.
Yeah, it's going to be a very scary matchup here for Peps because you will have to adapt to that, of course. They definitely come into this map and they have an idea of what they want to play. But if Qadsiah force that Symmetra look, then you don't really have a choice besides adapting. Normally, I'd say that Zoro, the spotlight is on you now to step up on the hit scan roll on a map like this, and maybe you hope that Willis can pop off on one of the more dive heavy tanks there. But who knows? They played like Tracer Gen.G and stuff in the past, but really then I don't really feel like that is what you should bring out on Gibraltar in the first place here. I don't think that's how you win this series. So Team Peps will kind of see what they have in store. They're going to ban the Sojourn, actually. That's quite interesting.
That is, I don't understand that at all. I think no one's going to play Sojourn on this map, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Sojourn is good, but yeah, it doesn't strike. I feel like I've seen like more Hanzo, honestly, on this map, as crazy as that sounds. The verticality is so good. I think taking away the Lijiang, though, says to me that Qadsiah want to play like a very high-paced Lucio Symmetra comp. That's my first thought when I see this initial ban.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you feel like Sojourn could theoretically like put a lot of pressure on Willis, and maybe you need Willis to like establish some kind of front line there.
Maybe you also want to protect Tracer, because honestly, I think that would have been a very potent ban from Qadsiah to ban the Tracer out here. Because I think they want to play Sim, and I think if you almost force Peps into a mirror if you ban the Tracer, which I don't think Peps want. I think Peps want to keep dip on Tracer. They want to stabilize that for them at least and make that their hope, their bright spot. But it's so challenging, right, to continue to fight against Landon and Kellex, especially the Lucio carry men. Even harder, I think, than when Lijiang's on the field to challenge those backlines.
Checkmate.
Even defense Sim is, I mean, that's great. I'm also a little wild, but also like it lets them have so much versatility, right? A lot of times the retakes on first point are really difficult because the attackers get that high ground and they kind of dominate you. But with Sim, so many options. You can play forward. You go for a spawn camp here if you want to get crazy.
Yeah, and I feel like regardless of the fact that you play defense here, Checkmate is always going to put you in a position where you have obviously positional advantage, like TP to some odd high ground that we don't typically see. Suddenly Team Peps, they're kind of like scrambling to like get out of the sight lines and not get picked off. Regardless of what the map is, the Symmetra really allows you to abuse some of these high grounds, and that's going to be something that Peps will always have to adapt to not be at a man disadvantage.
Yeah, I think Lab, probably the player to watch right now, is going to be able to get enabled heavily by this Lucio and Sim to kind of be wherever he wants to be on the map, just raining down death from above. Maybe Zoro could be the one to shut that down. The card push just being attempted from Peps, but you got to evict Zia to successfully do that. Checkmate playing from lower as well to put more spam pressure on card, has to TP out. Labda taking a peek here, has that benefit of that Lucio speed, does take a sticky. Has to hide a little bit there, getting slow healed up by Kellex. Yeah, wants a little bit more support there on the high ground. And so far, Team Peps, I mean, they've been cutting, they haven't lost players, right? They've been inching this card forward little by little. You get one kill, maybe onto Labda, and things could shift.
Wow. Yeah, we're fighting in the neutral. Big pick from Xerion actually opened things up here. Willis dropped low on the hazard, but that pick alone is going to allow Peps to take control of this high ground. Now, though, the question from Alcatio, you have the teleporter in hand. You can like kind of hold this payload here for a little bit if you want. But the question becomes, how do you rotate here and put pressure onto the background of Peps?
Yeah, Zoro has a great angle here. TP up to the high ground. Are they going to try and cross him? He's going into them there. He steps up. Big Bola puts a lot of damage. Qadsiah reeling, trying to just recover their HP. And Landon forced into a rush to just stabilize, right? Just keep this fight going. Xerion, 95%, very close to a rush of his own. Willis diving in, trying to shut down those enemy backliners, but yeah, just going a little bit too far. They do find that one onto Labda, but Landon two with the clap back. Xerion, throws in the rush, but do they have much chance in this fight? Ziad's still relatively healthy. You're hoping to get some cheeky kills here. FD God finds one, but Qadsiah just too close on the spawn, and that's pretty devastating. Rush is maybe your most powerful tool as Team Peps, and now you won't have it coming into that next fight. Checkmate has bridged the gap very, very close to that Symmetra ult. It's going to make some of these dives really difficult to sustain for Team Peps.
Yes, potentially the only Kitsune rush you will have now. Xerion now under pressure to build another one. So here, Dip is going to try to wrap around here. Lambda is pretty low here. Does get Susu'd, so should be all okay.
Pulse? Oh, just barely sidestepped by Lambda, who also has High Noon, which is pretty powerful. No stuns in this comp. No way to shut down the High Noon other than raw damage. Team Peps not just talking about High Noon. They're not even able to get across the board here. Beat on 5. Kelix with the better counter beat. Team Qadsiah just happy to play this one slow. And Willis just punished, just couldn't escape, couldn't back off the dive in the beat trade. Landon very low. Maybe that they do find one, but I mean, this is the story for Team Peps. Like, you all in, you get something. But the rest of Qadsiah is just way too strong, way too healthy. And Landon has that next Kitsune rush online. Great defensive tools now in the bank. Ziada's going to be able to just throw his body into any kind of dive. Has that self-destructive force to remake. And with 1 minute on the clock, Team Peps, like you said, I don't think they're going to get a rush. It needs to be Zoro or maybe Willis finding an opener here. But Qadsiah, they're so elusive, they're so hard to catch. And I mean, I think this High Noon is going to be a problem, man. If you get to some channel, you teleport him in with a speed amp, with a Suzu, Lambda could just end this game right here, right now. Team Peps, they want to build up some more ultimates. They know this is going to be an OT fight, right? They're not in a huge rush. Want to play with this time. Oh my God. He got just dinked out of the
sim thing? The turret?
I don't know. There was 2 turrets zapping him down, and then he just got headshot by Lambda. It's like you tried to swing, and you just swung in a double sim turret. Lambda just deletes you. And that's, yeah. I mean, that's game, right? Dip is 1. Gets cleaned up. Can Willis get a touch? I don't know. Is there no one's even behind? It's full desperation. A few seconds on the clock, though. Checkmate is down. So I think Qadsiah are wisely just regrouping on the point, forcing the OT touch. But I mean, this is going to High Noon and rip them down. Yeah, they can't even get the OT going. And Team Peps, I mean, now it's full hold or nothing, right? And with Sim, just good luck, man. I feel like the Sim wall fight, the ability for attackers to flip the map, yeah, this is just reeking of a Qadsiah 3-0 right now, Johnny.
Oh, yeah. It most definitely is, Jake. Not having that Kitsune rush, I mean, it doesn't help you either because you're trading beats. You already know that Alcatio, they're going to be pretty stable the way they like to play their, 5-man kind of composition there, right? Yeah. So you lack the damage required to really beat them down. Again, that first initial fight, it looked really promising for Peps, but Willis extend, trying to get those picks onto the lava, onto the high ground. But the longer the fight went on, the teamwork from Peps kind of like broke down a little bit in Alcatio. They're just ever present. They're always in the fight, and they survive to hold on for another full point hold here.
Tough spot to be. Qadsiah just can take all the time they need to analyze this position. Team Peps have to, I feel like they have to get aggressive here, but also that's just as likely to fail. You really just, you have to hit that dance, like not too aggressive, not too passive. And Qadsiah are going to make that so hard, such a difficult line to straddle with Checkmate, constantly changing the tempo. The switch up is so easy to, I mean, with this mobility that you have in this Qadsiah comp, like predicting them is almost impossible.
Yeah, and it's so difficult as well because the Dip, with this Tracer, has to navigate all of this damage, whether it's like, Calix, Lambda, Landon, and you can't get recall forced, and then you have to combine with Zoro, who's already gone down in this fight, which is a bad sign. It's really hard to execute the composition that Peps is playing, and they're being punished. Just the simplest mistake.
Yeah, I mean, Qadsiah, it's like you can't hold card against this. You can't take the poke mirror. You have to dive in and kill Checkmate or Lambda, and they are being supported by just the full phalanx of Alcacia's defensive utility. They've got the teleporter to boot. Willis onto the Winston. I think I like this in the sense of like you have to go super all in and just int somebody down, but oh, that boot, the roll from Lambda. Empty God thought he got him off the high ground, and now Lambda's just going to close out this game, swinging forward into that attacker spawn, and Willis solo on the card, no chance to hold the line into a fully torqued up Checkmate. And it's elementary here. Checkmate eating them alive one by one. FD God off the spawn, no chance for him. Qadsiah, another statement win, just another day at the office for the GOATs of EMEA.
Absolutely brutal dominance coming in from Alcatio there, and man, it's a tough pill to swallow after you probably felt that you were pretty competitive on Lijiang Tower, and then to just get absolutely rolled on King's Row in Gibraltar has to set you down a little bit if you're Team Peps there, be a little bit demotivating. But again, it's Alcatio, they're the best team in EMEA. They were the runner-up at the recent LAN event. You know they were going to be a really tough opponent there, but checkmate. I mean, look at these stats, Jake. If you're playing fantasy right now, you're just ecstatic. Checkmate's in your lineup, Jake.
Yeah, he is. He is. That's what I'm talking about.
Internally.
Checkmate farming. Checkmate farming. But I mean, let's be honest. This is just another day at the office for Checkmate. This is no surprises. You know, I feel like Peps, they should honestly just take some of those good moments where they did open up the fights really well, and they did put some tests for Alcatio, and I think they should honestly be proud of those moments, because there's been other teams who haven't been able to do that, who have just had no say in the series. And maybe Gibraltar really was that way. I mean, I think Team Peps, they felt the wall, right? They felt the wall on Kings Row. They felt, okay, this team is just levels above us. And for Qadsiah, they're happy to take this win, but you know, I don't think they're going to be surprised in the least. I think this is exactly how they thought the series would go.
Yeah, no, this is the least that was expected. Although round one, you know, on control, Dip can not only take on 100 gorillas, he can also have a vision showing against Alcatio. So that's a positive to take away. But yeah, it was never theirs to win, and that's also not really the expectation the entirety of Team Peps came into this. So for them to even just take a round, that's good. That's a good look for Peps. Alcatio continue on their winning way. No surprises. Absolutely nothing. That's it. That's the summary of the game. That's it. Don't even need
I feel like
highlights. We're just
for team. We are rolling the highlights anyway. We gotta watch Alcatio dominate. But I feel like if you're Peps here now, you got a really couple interesting match coming out. You of course lost to Alcatio now, but you're playing Team Vision, and then you're playing Virtus Pro. And if I'm Team Peps, had a pretty good start to the stage, got a win against Gen.G, win against Quick Esports. Those are the two teams I'm eyeing now. Just like, can we beat a team like Virtus Pro? Yes, they've been really good in scrims. Kevster Jwoo has looked, you know, dominant in their dive, looked so hard to play against. But I really feel like Peps, I have a good feeling about them. And I feel like they should feel like they have a shot at being the third best team in the region. It's going to be difficult, but they could.
There's a world where they can make it to LAN, right? Like that.
Yeah.
They need a big playoffs performance. Qadsiah may be out of range for them, but for no one else can do what Qadsiah can do, I think, which is to say, playing these sim strats at like the highest level in the world, and then taking it to you on the dive mirror and not losing a step. You know, I think there's other teams who are like VP, also